Well, this is embarrassing.
I'll say.
So last time we got in this elevator, we were trapped in here for 2.5 hours, and I have been frightened to get back in this elevator until tonight, when I thought I was just silly to be superstitious. We can't get stuck again. And we're stuck again.
Well, as last time, we at least have our microphones and computers so we can actually create a pod. That's the bright side. But otherwise, this is the last time I get into an elevator with you.
I'm not. I'm more in other elevators. I think it might just be the combination of you and me.
Yeah.
This is. I've tried pressing this button, and nothing happens. So okay, we've got. So last time we got stuck in the elevator. Good opportunity. Turn a negative into a positive. We're going to practice some. We practice some elevator pitches. And having just come out of seeing Joker, Folie à Deux. Folie à Deux, which is what they should put over the top of this the sign for this elevator. I think. I'm going to suggest elevator pitches for
of course,
for pre-existing films, for remakes that would be better as musicals.
Ooh.
So I have a little list in my head. Okay, films where I reckon they could be remade and improved if they were remade as musicals.
Oh, huh.
What do you think?
This is new to me, so let me think about this a little bit. The one thing I love about musicals is if your film has stopped making money, you can just rewrite it as a musical. People are doing this now a lot, right? Just make it into a musical, and then you get the extended series. You can do that too, and then
put it on stage.
Do a ballet, make an opera. Yeah. Oh my God, just keep repurposing it. So yes, all right. I think this could work for any film. So that's okay. That makes it easier.
Well, that's good because I have chosen pretty much any film. You'll either laugh or sneer when you see my list.
Okay.
Should I go first?
Yeah.
I've forced my way to the front of this expansive space here. Okay, so I think a film that could be improved, a film that is due to be remade as a musical, is 1988's The Adventures of Baron Munchausen.
Ooh. Huh.
So this is the Terry Gilliam film, which when it was released, I remember my father seeing a glimpse of the trailer on TV and turning to me and saying, "Oh, that film is the biggest flop of all time." I think the production budget was supposed to be of the order of up to $40 million, and I think it made something like $8 million at the box office. So it was really bomb. I grew up in Nottingham, and John Neville, who plays Baron Munchausen in the film, was for many years the director of the Nottingham Playhouse. Oh. So he was a kind of local hero in Nottingham. So the film did get a slightly special reception in Nottingham. And then and basically a list of either Terry Gilliam's friends or kind of British cinema greats. Eric Idle is in it. Oliver Reed is in it. Jonathan Pryce was in it. Robin Williams was in it. Apparently, they weren't allowed to credit Robin Williams. Because his agent refused because he thought that Terry Gilliam would just try and use Robin Williams' name to sell the film. So he only agreed to do the part if they wouldn't put him in the credits. So he's not actually credited, incredibly. Wow. But so you've seen Baron Munchausen.
Decades ago, yeah.
That's full of huge operatic settings. Huge heroic deeds, massive emotions, massive set pieces, but also in between these huge set pieces, it has these kind of tiny, quiet, real world moments. So enormous dynamics in Baron Munchausen. It goes from being enormous to being tiny. I think that is why it would lend itself to being a musical. You can have big production numbers and you can have tiny, intimate songs. And both of them fit into the world of this film, and it's it would work as a musical because it has that kind of fantastical tone of it. Walks the line between the fantastical and the concrete, the exaggerated and artistic and the banal. So music can bridge those gaps. I think a proper musical with brand new songs, The Adventures of Baron Munchausen, it'd be a hit. It would work. It would work. Not sure who you'd put in it. Actually, the first thing you think of is Johnny Depp, but no one's really going to cast him in any big films now.
No, and I mean, there's that fine line of, do you cast for voice or do you cast for character? Or, I mean, do you need people who really have great voices?
I wonder whether you could do worse than cast Joaquin Phoenix as Baron Munchausen. He already has the hat from Napoleon, and he's very good at that kind of bewildered, I'm not sure what's real and what's not kind of tone. So I'm going to suggest Joaquin Phoenix, who now has musical form, not just from Joker, but from Walk the Line as well, the Johnny Cash picture. Did you see that?
He's done a couple of musical pieces.
He has.
For sure. And he's got the hat. And we are serious podcasters. We spent an episode talking about hats, I believe.
We did spend the whole episode talking about hats. So he would help reduce the budget by bringing his own hat. How can it fail?
Correct. So it wouldn't be $40 million. You can do it for less. Although, boy, when you think about it, that's what you said, that was half his fee on Joker. $20 million. So
yes. Yeah, you're right. Yep. Yeah.
So you only have another $20 million to make your musical.
I'm sure we could get him with a back end deal.
Minus the cost.
Right, that's my first. I'm writing it here on the wall of the elevator here. Here we go. Adventures of Baron Munchausen. There we go. I wish I'd chosen something with a shorter name because my pen's running out.
Yeah.
But okay.
Mine have short names, so
yeah, you've done better than me. Okay, beat that.
I'm going to come at it from. I'm not an opera fan, as we've established, but I'm going to come at it from an operatic angle because I think this is a good opera story, and I have focused on recent to-reel material.
Okay. Oh, good. Okay, so films that I might actually have seen.
I'm going back all the way one episode ago from the podcast. I think Face Off would be an awesome musical. For so many reasons, because it's already big and operatic. But I also just think that the whole character changing would be wonderful, and with the voices, like who would sing whose parts at some point.
Oh, yes.
That becomes a question, I think. And I just think...
made for duets.
Yeah, gunfire. I mean, which is louder, the human voice or the bullets from the guns? And so I just think that's good material for musical because it's not musical. If you think of musicals being kind of friendly and happy and all that, Face Off it's got some darkness. So I think that might work.
John Travolta does have musical form.
He does, yeah. And Nicolas Cage probably does not, which might make it good, Just bad enough to be good.
I mean, so he was in Grease, which clearly was a musical. He's done other musicals, hasn't he? I mean, Saturday Night Fever doesn't count, does it?
No. Hairspray, right? The Hairspray you mentioned?
Ah, yes. There we go, yeah. So
Grease.
You could even get John Travolta to come back in it. They were talking about making a sequel to Face Off. Why not make it a musical?
Make it a musical.
But who do you put in Nick Cage's role?
Nick Cage's role, someone with a singing voice. I might grab it's got to be some violence, some craziness, huh? Well, that might be Johnny Depp. Could be Johnny Depp. I think about Tim Roth maybe could do the Nick Cage role. I think he's done a little bit of music as well. I think I'm going to go with Tim Roth, but he's getting old. We need some young guys, huh? We need younger people.
I need young guys. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Face Off versus The Adventures of Baron Munchausen.
Yeah.
This is going to be a tough pitching section. Okay.
Absolutely.
Right. My number 2. Okay. Well, this is a film which I hesitate to say this. I'm going to guess you might not have seen it, but that's a risky strategy because I know you've seen a lot more films than I have.
No. Yeah.
So this is Roberto Rossellini's first ever feature film. Which is called The White Ship. Have you seen this?
The White Ship.
The White Ship.
No, I've seen White Chic, which is one of Fellini's first films.
Close but no cigar.
No.
So The White Ship, 1941. Now, it has a drawback, The White Ship, because it is a fascist film.
Oh.
I think Mussolini's nephew was one of the backers for this film. The intention of the film was to make the Italian fascists look good. So there is a certain level of getting over that you need to do. But it's a sort of docudrama about a hospital ship in the Second World War. So it's set, on the ship. I think in the original, the actors are largely non-professionals. Mm-hmm. They're kind of playing themselves. I saw it at the National Film Theatre many years ago, not long after. I'm sure I've told this story many times on the pod. One of the best bits of advice I ever got at film school was that if you ever see that a film by Roberto Rossellini is playing anywhere, you should make every effort you can to go and see that film. So I took that advice to heart. Playing at the NFT, it contains one of the most beautiful human scenes. There is a scene where there is a sailor who's on the hospital ship because he was close to an explosion, and he's been blinded, and the surgeons on the ship have tried to save his sight, and he's going around with these kind of bandages on his face. Every day he asks, "Is there any mail for me?" And the nurse says no. And then the day comes when he has to get his bandage taken off. And they slowly take the bandages off his eyes. Will he be able to see or not? And he can. And it's this big emotional moment. And the sweetest thing is the nurse tells him, there is a letter for him, with a photograph. But she didn't want to tell him until she knew whether he could see or not, because it would be so bitter that he received this photograph and could never see it. It's like this really kind of simple, kind of a bit melodramatic, but sort of beautiful act of kindness. That, I think, is the kind of thing that would be very appropriately set to music. I think, the story of the man who may see and may not see, the tension of worrying whether the operation has worked or not. It's set on a ship. I think that could be a great musical. Beautiful. And it's a little scene film that deserves a wider audience. That's my pitch, The White Ship.
Singing doctors, that seems to be in your wheelhouse.
I could limber up, take a few lessons. I don't see why not.
Anyone? Have you ever worked on a medical ship, a hospital ship, or not?
I never have. A friend of mine, another anaesthetist, a few years ago got sick of anesthesia, and she became a cruise ship doctor.
Oh.
And so she went off and did this job, and then when the pandemic hit, she came back and did some work, back in the hospital where I work again. So it's fascinating to hear her stories about being a ship's doctor. She came back and worked with us for 6 months, and then as soon as the cruise ships were going again, she was back off to sea. She thought it was brilliant.
Oh, wow. Good for her.
Yeah, great gig for a young doctor. I envy her.
Lots of sickness, though. Boy, I get sick on boats all the time.
Interestingly, she was saying that there were 2 doctors on the ship, an older, sort of more senior, experienced doctor with gravitas, and he would look after the passengers. And then she was the younger, less experienced doctor, and she would look after the crew.
Oh.
And so it was very different kinds of illnesses. The passengers all had, they either had chest pain or they had indigestion.
Yeah.
Whereas the crew, it was all either fist fights or it was sexually transmitted infections. So quite a different clientele.
Get that in your musical. There's some drama.
Ooh, that's upstairs, downstairs, isn't it? But it's all set on a ship.
Yeah.
Who want to see that? Yep. Okay. The White Ship. White Ship.
Yep, start your cards. Start writing your cards out, because you got a moneymaker there.
Right. On the list it goes. Okay. Here we go. Right, what's your number 2?
My number 2, again, I'm focusing on True Real Cinema Club stuff. I think...
You're so good, you're thinking of the listeners. You say I'm not doing that.
I know. It's terrible. Terrible of me. We've mentioned there's just this inherent surrealism in musicals. They're just odd things. And I think a film that would really benefit from being more surreal is Reality.
Oh,
with Sydney Sweeney. I think that would be really interesting because, again, it's all created from government documents, legal documents.
Yeah, it's
transcript, right?
Actual interviews, isn't it?
I think it would be bizarre to have that whole story sung.
Set to music. Be a great stage show. Not many characters.
Exactly.
All happens on one set.
You just need the face of a house and maybe a room inside it and then some lawn space. So I think it could be a great staged musical. Absolutely. And I love the part. There are a number of parts that are redacted, right? Where they pixelate the camera and you can't hear what's said. And I just think doing that with the voices would be really interesting too. So I think it's one of these things that is just totally inappropriate for a musical, and yet somehow it could be a great musical.
Now that sounds like an underground hit. Can Sydney Sweeney sing, do we know?
I hope, yeah, she has to play that part again. So she probably, I mean, most actors are really talented and they've had some voice work. So
yeah, if you've been to drama school, you can hold a tune, I bet.
Yeah. And, you know, because that's really just transcripted dialogue, I think it doesn't have to be the most beautiful singing, but it could be very good. And of course, I mean, so much of musicals is, you know, who's going to write the music and what's it really going to sound like? And can you turn some of those into catchy things or songs? Can you actually repeat things so that you get some interesting refrains? That would make it even more interesting. So I'm going with reality getting the surreality treatment.
You know who should write the music for that? Philip Glass, I think.
Oh, there you go.
That's what it sounds like, isn't it?
Perfect.
Yeah, it's a Philip Glass musical.
We've got another hit.
Oh. It's going to be hard to beat then. Okay, reality goes on the wall of the popcorn counter elevator. Here we go. Okay, right. All right. Like I've got a lot to live up to now. Okay, my third and final film, also not one we have covered on the podcast. Oh, I'm a terrible broadcaster. I'm hoping you've seen this. 10 years ago, 2014. Did you watch the film Nightcrawler?
It's a Jake Gyllenhaal film.
It is Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, that is an interesting one. Yeah, I did.
So after watching Umbrellas of Cherbourg last week, and that being so bright and so colourful, I am in the mood for a musical which is the exact opposite. You know, a kind of a Joker-style musical where everything is dark and nasty.
Yeah.
And if you want a dark and nasty film, Nightcrawler is it. So for people who haven't seen it, Nightcrawler is a kind of satire about news media that explores the boundary between people who cover the news and the people who make the news. So Jake Gyllenhaal is this, you know, he's an utter crook who discovers that you can make money by selling amateur videos of crimes and crime scenes to the news networks. And so he starts out by, I think he steals a bicycle to sell so that he can buy a cheap video camera and starts filming crime scenes, and then realizes that he can get better footage if he actually causes or provokes some of the crimes.
Yeah.
And he listens to police radio and visits crime scenes before the police get there, and then he starts moving the bodies around to make it more cinematic. And it kind of becomes darker and nastier from there. And there's something, you know, tremendously operatic about it. And it would have to be like a kind of rock opera, I was thinking, maybe, or like a sort of a synthwave opera with kind of sung news bulletins. And so you could have like different themes for different news crews. You know, the film's got a number of extremely tense, like drawn out nighttime scenes of crime, the aftermath of crime, and the precipitation of crime, the exploitation of crime. You know, it will be a dark, nasty film, but it might make a pretty remarkable musical, I think. Definitely doable. And also, it's a fairly early appearance by Riz Ahmed, who, you know, he has musical form because he was in Sound of Silence, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Which is the kind of like the film about the rock drummer who's going deaf.
He's going deaf, yeah.
So Nightcrawler, that's my pitch.
That's a
Dan Gilroy.
I think it's
who made
brilliant.
He made. I was going to say Dan Gilroy, who made that film. You know, he hasn't, you know, done an enormous amount since. I think most recently he made some episodes of Andor, the kind of the Star Wars TV series. I'd like to see him get more work.
I think it's brilliant. Because it would be dark. I think you could have some really humorous songs, some very darkly humorous songs about arranging accidents and whatnot. I think you've chosen well there. I also like the fact that a lot of those are very like lonely nighttime scenes. And one thing that bugs me about musicals is when someone breaks out into song and they're just in full daylight with lots of people around. It's just a little bit of surrealism that I can't accept somehow. Whereas I think a guy singing Alone in the Night, or maybe a corpse suddenly starting to sing on a gurney or in the back of an ambulance, I think that could be very effective. So I'm going to say yes to that one. I would buy a ticket for sure.
Right, Nightcrawler goes on the list.
Yeah. So I think that something important in musicals is a certain subversion, which you've really done very well with Nightcrawler. And I'm going to just commit an atrocity. I'm going to ruin a perfectly good film, which basically has no dialogue whatsoever. But it does have some great music, and I'm taking a film that's actually perfect in its sort of neo-silent planning and thinking and execution, and turn it into a musical, and that would be Robot Dreams.
Oh,
I think it would be interesting to have the robots singing and these various creatures singing and a dog singing. I want to hear what that sounds like. And there's already some great music in there, and music is used to sort of identify people and their memories and nostalgia to a certain extent. So the music's already in there, but granted, I think that was a great film with no dialogue whatsoever. So I think that gives you a chance to actually introduce a bunch of songs that tell some of that story, but not too much. You don't really have to tell too much of the story. So I think there's a lot of liberty to have some fun songs in there and have them sung in robot voices and various animal voices. So I think it just has the potential to be a good musical, and it's good material. And I think it would continue to be good material, even as a musical.
I mean, Robot Dreams should be a ballet, shouldn't it? If you want to do it live on stage. Because so much of it, I think, is about the way that the characters move, isn't it? That's really central to how you understand their characters and who they are. So it's a film all about a bunch of things, but all about movement, I was going to say. Beautiful. And it's got that Dancing Daisies big set piece, hasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
In the middle of it as well. It's begging to be turned into like a big stage musical.
Or I like ballet. Maybe we should do another podcast of turning previously released material into ballets.
Face Off the Ballet. But there's John Woo films, they get called Bullet Ballet, don't they?
They do. Oh my God. That would be fantastic.
That work's already been done for us.
Or did we do that? Was it Bullet Ballet before we called it Bullet Ballet, or is that our doing?
Did we think, maybe we? I'm going to take that. Yeah, I reckon
like to
we
think
came
that
up
we
with
called
that.
it
We
Bullet
definitely
Ballet
came
first.
Up with that. Yes.
Oh goodness.
Okay. Damn, you've come up with 3 good suggestions. I've come up with 3 mediocre suggestions.
No, disagree. Disagree. I think they're all pretty good suggestions.
If you got to choose one to put your money behind, which one out of mine are you going to pick?
Nightcrawler.
Nightcrawler. Yep. It's right there for the taking, isn't it?
Yeah. How about with mine? Robot Dreams, Face Off, or Face or Reality. I'm sorry. Face Off twice. Make your choice easy.
I think. See, a Face Off sequel may already be in the works.
True.
So it would take very little effort on our part just to nudge it slightly over into the musical category. I would pay good money to see a Face Off musical.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't? That has got hit written all over it. It's got hit written all over it and then peeled off it and put back on somebody else's face. Right, there we go. We have 2 winners. Face Off and Nightcrawler. I'm not sure what that says about our musical tastes, but this, I think, is the cue for the elevator to start working again.
Let's hope so.
So,
like
any second now.
Ding ding sound, or no? I think we're going to be here for a little while longer. Never again.
Oh my God.
Never again. This is why I like cinema that you walk up to and you buy a ticket. You want not these things that are inside.
I'm never getting in this elevator again, I promise.